all the people that you see, these are people who work in the organization. They are all voluntarily working, is what I would like to believe. The only carrot and the only incentive that they have is they get a certificate at the end of it. But I must tell you something about the gentleman who's sitting in front of, who's going to sit in front of you. I actually happen to be your neighbor.
Okay.
I live in a building, of course. You live in the bungalow, I live in the building. But 2010 was the year when I.I.M.U.N was conceived. 2011 was the first event. And much before we had the Ambani family as the most prominent family in the country, there was another family that has been doing as much for the country, if not more. And I remember the 2010-11 Forbes list, and it had your father as number one on that list for very many a reason. Oh, and my granddad used to keep telling us stories about the SR group. And I'm sure you heard of Vodafone and used Vodafone at some point. So from that point in time, I was quite enamored, saying that, if there's one person in the field of business that we have to get associated to the organization, that should be Mr. Ruia. Now, as a then 18-year-old, and my granddad always taught me, saying, don't use somebody else's reference. Sab khud kar. So the best way to reach out to Sir's father back then was dropping an email. And we dropped an email, and there was much later, of course, over the years, there was a gentleman called Mr. Agarwal, Ashish Agarwal.
Yeah.
And Ashish ji, I have traveled God knows how many, over how many years. And then once eventually, because I was impatient and young, I said, let's go and pay him a visit at his residence. So I visited your residence.
You met Papa?
Yes. I rang the bell and I said, I want to meet Mr. Ruia. And your security guard came up and he said, but aap kaun? Said, बहुत important event है, sir को बुलाना है. ये कौन सी college से आए हो? And then I said, नहीं college नहीं, ये एक बड़ा सा अंतरराष्ट्रीय event है. And then he looked at me, and I look like this now, and I've told you this many times, but imagine 15 years ago. So I was half my size, if that's possible. And but the security guard, for some reason, went and checked with somebody in the house, and they said that this must be some boy who's a fanboy who was come to meet him. So they went and asked your dad, saying, will you humor him for 5 minutes? He said, "Kaun hai?" And then I wrote a note, because I didn't have a visiting card back.
Yeah.
So I wrote a note and I said, I live right next door. This is what I'm doing, and can I come see you for 5 minutes? Then in your drawing room, he sat with me and he spoke to me for 5-7 minutes. That 5-7 minutes turned into 30. Then he called up his secretary and said, please line up a meeting and let me see how I can get involved. Then we did a session at your HQ back in 2014. And since then, I must tell you this, that it has remained one of my foremost endeavors to try to get them to come to I.I.M.U.N, to be a part of some engagement. Now, it's been 15 years since that very first rush of meeting your family, and it's 15 years later. And thank you for coming and being with us. It means, like I said, a lot. Just to make a few corrections from what she said, he's group chief executive. He's in charge of everything that happens in the SR group, and so all the decisions go through him. So the next time you want anything in SR, you know whom to reach to. But at the same point in time, what is most phenomenal about him and the family is that they do so much of philanthropic work, and unlike very many others that plaster it all across the city for everyone to visibly see, the good part is that it happens rather quietly. It gives me great pleasure that he's with us here today, but along with him is also another distinguished gentleman who, and our second largest team outside of Bombay. Of course, you see the 100 in front of you, but there are over 300 in Jammu and Kashmir who work. And the second largest team outside of Bombay is in Kashmir. Ambar is from Kashmir.
Yes.
And out there, as we speak today, in Jammu, there's a conference going on where 1,000 children are debating world issues. And everyone from Mr. Abdullah to the others, to the governor, etc., all speaking there, all done by 22-year-olds. So it gives me great pleasure to be able to welcome you to Bombay and to be able to have you at HQ. Sir has, of course, been, Dr. Dragu has been an economist, he's an academic, and also former minister in the J&K government. It gives me a lot of pleasure on behalf of everyone at I.I.M.U.N to welcome the both of you. Thank you for being here. Without any further ado, please put your hands together for Mr. Prashant. So happy to see you here.
Lovely. Thanks for having us. And I fascinated by that story. You've already met the man himself, so we'll have to see how we can keep up to that. Yeah.
No. I'm sure it's only going to go a level up. But one of the things that I must ask you, because the students here, the children here, they're all given a city. So many of them are given, say, for example, Patna, or somebody is given a Pathankot, and then they're told saying, "Jaake conference ka ayojan karo." That, get together children, get the guests, put the event together, and have an academic discussion. Now, many of them are building for the first time in their life. You started very young yourself as well. What would your advice be to somebody who started off very young?
Well, I started at 15 and stayed out of school. And after my 10th standard, I obviously went to college, but I was at HR. And in those days, we would spend more time outside the college than inside the college, right? So my dad left me alone for a week. And then after a week, we were just chatting and he said, "How's college?"
Right.
And I said, "You know what, I spend a lot of time outside and I'm inside." So he said, there was an RA Milk, there was a standard place to be for the HR college guys. So anyway, that didn't last long. So my father said, "Look, why don't you switch to 7 o'clock morning session, and then you come to office." Well, after that, I was in the office. So I never went to college much, but obviously did my studies at night.
From 7 a.m. in the morning?
Well, no, but once I started working, then
I wish you would have said 7. I would have said, "Look, he's coming at 7. You should come at 7.
No.
What?
Unfortunately, no. But so I started at that. Look, I mean, I just feel that there are 3-4 basics which you need, whether doesn't matter when you're starting. Right. And that I think will hold you good stead. I think the first and most important thing is being disciplined and hard work. Because at the end of the day, there is no substitute for that. I mean, starting something, you have to put in the extra effort. You have to put in the extra effort to learn, and not just learn exactly what you're doing, but learn everything around you. Because at that point of time when you're starting, you're not very clear which direction your life is going to go.
Right.
And so the more you can learn and the more you can take in as a sponge, I think and the more curious you are, I think that's a tremendous quality to get you started. When I started, my first role was to carry my father's bag.
Okay.
And I did that for 1.5 years.
Okay.
And that meant that there's a Marwari school of management, which I very often talk about. And when I did that, it was not that I was carrying his bag. I mean, that was obvious. But it was so that I could participate in every meeting which he had. And obviously, I was privileged to the extent that I had access and I could do that. But from the time he left for work till the time he came back, I had to be by his side. And there was no question of asking or talking in the meeting. No talking. Idea was to listen, understand, absorb. And if I had any questions, I could ask at the end of the meeting, after the meeting was over. And then he'll say, "Okay, what did you think?" Or you can ask me. I could ask him anything and he'd advise. So I think that period gave me that learning of seeing how how meetings are conducted, how how people are handled, relationship management, site tours, construction. We were in construction in those days, construction sites, how sites are done. So it was just a huge period of learning and a huge period of being very curious, asking shouldn't hesitate to ask any question, however stupid it is, because that's what gets you, your knowledge going. Of course, now ChatGPT and all the options are there. You don't need to be stupid in front of everybody. But if we didn't have ChatGPT at that time, we didn't have any of that, so we would ask. And nobody should be shy of
asking questions,
and learning and absorbing. And then after that, the other quality, in my opinion, is to be humble and not to have an ego, especially when you're starting off, because that then gets other people to actually open up to you.
Correct.
So the moment they see you, a little bit cocky or whatever, then you're not going to get that access. You're not going to get that endearment to people for them to open up to you. So I mean, those are the basics, and then after that,
There are two which are very, very important that you mentioned. One is, all of what you mentioned is important, but two that strike. One is curiosity, which you said, and it's better to have questions. Better to have questions that should be answered rather than to have answers that should not be questioned.
Yep.
And the problem is that curiosity is something that is not taught fundamentally in schools or in colleges. I studied at HR, and now I recall that in the 50-year celebration, perhaps we saw you as one of the distinguished alumni who was getting felicitated. But the issue is that as an outstanding student at HR college as well, under Indushani, the idea was that at least we were given things and tasks to do that were beyond curriculum, and therefore the cognitive abilities developed a little bit. Of course, the presumptuous teenager in me is yet alive. And like you said, the second part, not being arrogant and cocky, which I'll come to, but the idea that in schools, we're not taught how to question. And to that end, the important thing is to question everything, like you said, but also to do it respectfully. Now I see this in young people, that they're not afraid to question. It's changed from the time I was in school and college. And now they ask every question, but sometimes to do it with some amount of reverence is important. How does one maintain that fine line? Because we have a lot of questions, but sometimes I get worried that, will the questions be too sharp, and will it be too impolite to sometimes ask these questions? So how do you maintain that fine line?
No, that's what I said. Being humble and not having an ego, it has to come across in the way you speak also. It reflects, it reflects how you approach a person, how you approach the speech, and how you ask the question. You can still ask the most difficult question in a nice way and in a humble way. And I think it's just the attitude. And I just feel, as far as curiousness goes, you need it at the beginning, but you need it even more later.
Correct.
Because the moment you start thinking that you've learnt it all or you know it all, I mean, that's the beginning of your decline.
So you said something very important. Dr. Shashi Tharoor was, he's the chairperson of the advisory board, and since 2014 he comes regularly. And during the campaign, he was at midnight when we were on a call, and he said, "Rishabh, I'm reading a book on chemistry." When I asked him, "What are you doing?" I said, "Tomorrow you are campaigning." And he said, "But one should never stop learning."
Exactly.
And that in itself, lifelong learning. But
I actually picked this up from Papa and my uncle, actually, both of them. I mean, even till the last day, he would spend 1.5 hours every morning, being curious, learning about gardening, learning about flowers, learning about music, learning about, it didn't matter what the subject was, but that curiousness, learning about what's the latest gadget in China, it didn't matter. But it was a daily dose of learning of what's happening. Of course, business and all, of course, but even beyond that, and even about food. So
about food.
I see people from all around the country, and he'd love every delicacy. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. And being a lifelong learner is important.
Yes.
The other thing that you said about humility is also very important. What do you understand by the term humility, and when did you learn about this? Because as a teenager sometimes, and I would like to believe that some part of the ego over years has gotten beaten up again and again and again. But as a teenager, sometimes when you are a voracious reader, when you think you know a lot about the world, at that juncture, it's the line between overconfidence and confidence gets blurred. So when did you have an incident such as that, and when did you understand humility?
For me, it was not an incident. It was just seeing the atmosphere at home. I think I learned that from obviously my parents and my uncle, and just the way he would handle. It didn't matter whether you were sitting with a help at the house, or a driver, or he was sitting with the chief minister, or he was sitting with the prime minister. It didn't matter.
Or with the boy who came knocking on his door.
Or with the boy who came knocking on the door, because you saw it, right? I mean, he would welcome you, and he would talk to you like
Yes.
at the same level. There's no. So I learned it from there.
Right.
I was fortunate to learn it from there. But I mean, it's got to get ingrained in you, and I think it will hold. It holds if you can hold on to that and not lose it especially when you start doing well. Then I think that's a tremendous quality to take you very far.
The other thing is to be able to get along with people.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I saw in your father's journey and just reading about it, etc., is he managed to get along with people across the political aisle, across different walks of life, and that's really admirable. And that's something that one sees today also in your group. How do you take along people that you don't like? Because at a young age, we're automatically drawn towards people that we like. And then when we're paired with people that we don't like, we usually, we shy away from working with them. So how do you reconcile with this?
Well, that quality came from being part of a joint family.
Okay.
And being part of a big joint family.
Marwadi joint family.
Marwadi joint family, right? So when you have to live in the same house, we all live in the same house till now.
Right.
So my father, my uncle, and the second generation. I'm the eldest in the second generation, and then all our kids, and some of them are getting married now. So when you have to live in the same house with a big joint, I'm sure many of you may be living in joint families, but you have to learn ability of patience, not getting everything what you want, because you have to compromise. Sometimes you have to do things which you don't want to do. Sometimes you have to, not sometimes, all the time. and that I think that's a great learning for getting along with people. But from with friends or with business, or in other parts of life, I mean, you just have to have a little bit of patience and a little bit of calmness in handling people and not reacting on the spot. Because I think many times the reaction goes very quickly, and then there's immediately a chasm which is built, and then that just keeps growing with time, and then that relationship is gone. And I think step back a bit, think about it. Everything about anybody is not bad. So there's always good stuff around, and you have to start accepting people for the good in them, not just things which are. Everybody has faults. I mean, it's not like you're perfect or I'm perfect. Everybody has issues, and you have to be willing to see beyond those issues. Obviously, sometimes it becomes insurmountable. That's a different issue. But in most people, at least, we don't find a problem. We don't find an issue. I don't find a problem. Dealing with a lot of people. And okay, in our culture, it's not that we even confront too much. Normally sometimes you want to confront all the time and you want to say things. If it's not necessary, then why go there?
You spoke about,
because that creates a problem.
Okay. You spoke about something very interesting, that you lived in a joint family and
still live in
a joint family, and there's a profound impact of people in and around. Any memory that comes back which taught you exactly what you spoke about?
Oh, many every day. So no, I mean, you got to. I mean, when you're living with so many people and when everybody has a different point of view,
correct,
then carrying everyone along is very important. So one of the rules which my father had, for example, which even we have in our business now, is that big decisions, not small things, but big things, we must have unanimity in taking the decision. Because it's very easy to take the early option and say, no, it's my decision, everybody has to follow. And then somebody is not agreeing with it, and then you create a huge, it starts small, but then it just keeps building. So we have a policy that even if it takes, if that decision takes a lot more time, it's better to take the time, get everybody around the table, get everybody on the same page, and only then move ahead. And though at many points of time, everybody doesn't necessarily agree with your decision, I didn't necessarily agree with everything what my father or my uncle, wanted to do.
Important message to all the future politicians.
Politicians, business people, any walk of life. If you have, the same applies to your team. If you're working in the office and you have a team and you have, obviously you're going to have different points of view.
Right.
But if you start very easily overruling people, I mean, you won't have a team for long.
And therefore, authority, it is very important to be able to talk about authority, that you need to have enough authority in order to create consensus,
Yeah.
but then not tread upon the feelings of somebody else and belittle that person.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
And that as a captain or a team leader or as somebody who is in charge of a project, and then you've got interns working with you, that can be very challenging.
Yeah.
So of course, in your case, it is where, your group chief executive and
No, but that's now.
yeah, but
But I've been through the paces. I've been through periods where I'm dealing with, when I'm 16 years old and 15 years old, and I'm dealing with people who are 75 and 80, or 65 and 70. Because generally in our group, people who have been with the group for a long time, I mean, they don't leave. We don't, neither we ask them to leave, neither they leave.
right.
So they carry on for, what age is not a factor. So we were dealing with people who are, much elder to me, like my age of my grandfather. And yet we had to.
How did you take them along?
No, we had to go and convince them. It was because my father wouldn't go and tell them, no, Prashant has said something, so you follow. No way. So it was up to you to go convince, get them to start trusting your opinion, and only then that takes time.
But the difference of opinion, and like you said something about, not to see anybody in absolutes, not to see them in black and white, there are 50 shades of grey, but the idea that the ability to be able to convince somebody who's older, and this I faced as a personal challenge as well, that when you don't have enough whites, people don't take you as seriously. And therefore, to be able to convince those when you have a difference of opinion, how did you do that?
See, they don't take you seriously till they start believing that you're sincere. The moment they feel you're sincere, they'll take you under their wings and they will teach you and mentor you like nothing, like nobody else you can have. So I've had this, I've had few mentors in my life other than my parents, where they took me in. I was like their son. I was with them in their house. I was in there for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot from just being with them and, just being around them and, like a sponge, One of them was Mr. Panchab Kesan, who was Panch Uncle, who's still there very much. And he used to be the CFO of IBM.
Okay.
The first Indian CFO of IBM.
Alright.
So very, very senior,
Of course.
accomplished chartered accountant, really very senior. So, my dad said, you mentor him. So I started, it was the early days were difficult, but then once he felt that yes, you're serious hai, kuch karega, then it was amazing. And until today he's my mentor for, now nearly 30 years, maybe more.
How to find the right mentor? Because mentorship is so important. Like in the organization, we built an advisory board. Deepak Parikh sir, and now he spent so much time with the organization.
Most important.
Most important. But how to find right
Most
mentors at a young
important
age?
for children or for youngsters or for at any age, frankly.
Correct.
To have people whom you can look up to, who can give you, unfiltered advice, and whom you can go to and say, this is the issue, what do I do?
How to determine who is the right mentor? Like the reason why I ask you this,
That's a tough one.
without naming a few people, they were part of our advisory board, etc., and they were close to the organization. Then over a period of time, I realized that they're good at what they do, but perhaps they're not as invested in young people in terms of spending time, nothing else, with young people. So, how do you choose that who's the right mentor for what you're doing?
That's a little bit by chance, I guess, because you have to have access to the people and you have to know them. But you have to look around within your circle. Who are the people whom your parents know, or whom your family knows, or at work, or at school. I mean, even in school, I had two of my teachers who were, I was in Green Lawns in Bombay, and I had two teachers and the principal, who till today are my, they were not mentors in a way, but they if I had a problem, they were the first call.
This was before Mrs. Kiran Bajaj, or was it?
This was before Kiran Bajaj. This was Sarah De Mello, who was amazing principal. Amazing.
I was during Kiran Bajaj.
Yes. So I was in Green Lawns, and during Sarah de Mello, and she was, she till today is my, obviously now she's elder, but she's done so much for me in building my character, in social, taking us on, giving us a different aspect of life other than education.
But sir, can I, if I may?
Please call me Prashant.
Ah, okay.
So,
So, Prashant ji, if I may,
okay.
or Prashant, if
Yes,
I may.
even better.
Yeah. The idea that, no, it's always important to get, it's better sir than the first name, sometimes is what I felt. But one of the things that I've realized is that privilege gives you access.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
To that end, the ones who don't come from privilege sometimes don't have the access to a lot of things in life. Your worldview is shaped perhaps from the very many countries that you've traveled, from the people that you're surrounded with, and the exposure that you've gotten. For a person who is 17, 18, but may not have that same kind of privilege, what should they be doing such that they build a worldview which is more comprehensive rather than slightly more myopic?
See, access, everybody has access to people.
Right.
It's not like, it's not like people love youngsters or young people coming up to them. They love it. It is something, and if they can help or they can provide advice or they can support in any way, they actually love it. So there is you don't need to be shy to approach someone, even if you don't know him like you did.
Likhte raho.
Yeah, like, you can reach out to anybody. Okay, you may have a lower hit-miss ratio. You may 1 out of 10 may respond, or 1 out of 20 may respond. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You're not going to get, you're not going to score a goal every time you kick the ball, right? So it's okay. And then within the people you have to make an effort, and then you'll build a cohort of people whom you can talk to over time, or who can mentor you over time.
You may not hit a goal every time you score on a lighter note unless you are Prime Minister Modi.
Yes.
But the thing I must also quickly point out is that his team is fairly young, and the fact that you also surround yourself with young people, and that is very refreshing to know that in corporate India. But one thing about corporate India, because how many of you would like to post your studies, join companies and work in, say, a multinational for a while? Now, the thing is that typically when I was out of college and we had a bunch of companies coming in, they would see the CV, and more than the CV, they would see the academic score, and then they would recruit. Therefore, my question is that how do you recruit people who, suppose they want to work with Prashant Ruia, what should be there on their CV?
See, obviously the normal path is, you have to have a proper education. Now, you need to have a proper education, and you have to go to college, MBA, whatever, to do it. But at SR we have a very, very strong program where we take in young people straight out of college, or straight out of university, or straight out of engineering college, or straight out of whatever, and okay, I'll give you and then train them. And try and grow them, or give them responsibility at very early age, right? So if you think about Ashish Agarwal,
Correct,
as a good example.
Correct.
My dad met him somewhere.
Right.
He was giving me the story at his 50th birthday 2 days ago. So he told me that he met me in Calcutta. I was from Assam.
Okay.
And Papa met him, and he said, "ठीक है." He said, "I'm wanting to do something." He was doing his own business.
Okay.
So he said, "No, tum Bombay aake milna." He came to Bombay to meet Papa, and the rest is history.
Of course.
And then he was with him for 20 years. So it doesn't matter that it's only about a degree, or it's only about education. Of course, that's important, but then it's also about ability to. So we do this a lot. The famous story which I've always been told is, when you're flying a plane, when you're traveling in a plane, how often have you asked the question, what is the education of the pilot? Okay, so
Did he pass in first class?
Did he pass 12th standard? Did he pass which college? Which engineering college? कहाँ से आए? right?
Correct.
Most of the pilots are not very highly educated.
Right.
After 12th standard, they get trained 200 hours. Though in 200 hours they are flying the plane, right? And now you're trusting your life. 250 people or 150 people is trusting their life with a pilot who's 26, 28 years old or 30 years old. So it's not only about education. It's about the ability to be willing to, to take on the responsibility to work hard and grow and be passionate. I think passion is another third word which I missed, along with the curiousness. You need to have the passion.
And very many who are there also perhaps are passionate about entrepreneurship. Just by show of hands, how many of you are passionate about entrepreneurship? The thing is that today Shark Tank has taken entrepreneurship to everybody's home.
Yeah.
But I keep saying that there's a big difference between sharks in tanks and whales in oceans. I would count you as one of the few families who are whales in oceans and not sharks in tanks. And I'm very mindful of getting some people to, especially HQ, to talk. We've not yet got a shark in a tank. The idea that people build businesses, they're selling those businesses, there's a digital colonization 2.0 taking place, and in Hera Fairy there was this famous, I don't know whether you've seen the movie, but somebody Bipasha came to Akshay Kumar and said, "Aapki degree kaun si hai?" And he says ITUS, and Sunil Shetty says, "Iski topi uske sar." And this is essentially what Shark Tank, many of the people who are judges and who are people who are building new age businesses are doing essentially. To build a industry and to build a long-term business is very different from earning 100 crore. So for an entrepreneur who's going to start out 3 years from now, what is your advice on? What would your advice be? Should it be to earn the first 100 crores or to try to create a legacy? What is more important?
That's a tough one because if you're starting out in today's world, and obviously everybody wants to be do a startup, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
And so the early urge to do a startup, to get an idea and to develop it and to get financial help, because the advantage today is you can get financial help from international, from investors, whether it's domestic or international. You have access to venture capital or what have you, and that gets you a start at a very early age,
right,
and gets you going. So I'm not the one who's going to tell you that you try and think about building a legacy unless you're coming in from a business family and you have the opportunity of converting that business into into something where there is a legacy behind it. So if you're starting off and you're just starting off as a without the background of a family, then I don't think today the easier option is to do a startup and all of that. But once you've got that first 100 crores or once you've achieved success to that extent, then that's the time when you really need to start thinking, whether I can convert this into a business where I can leave behind a legacy. But to start off at the beginning and think I'm going to create a business and get a legacy, I don't think it's
pragmatic.
It's pragmatic. No.
No, you gave a very realist point of view. Perhaps first,
because you got to get going first, right? And how do you get going today? To get going today, the good news is there's so much opportunity for anybody with a good idea to get going.
What would be the 3 sectors that you would tell young people that would essentially be the sectors for the future?
See, till about a year back, when we were Dr. Hasib, when we were talking about the whole green economy,
right?
And the whole ecosystem. See, look, there are 3 clear areas where the world is changing for the future. Obviously, the first one is AI, and the whole AI economy, and the things which are being driven from that,
right?
Which is improving your productivity, which is improving speed, access, all of that. The second is obviously the entire energy transition which is taking place, which is the entire replacement of fossil fuels with green. Now, whether that is whether that's renewable power, whether that's electric cars, whatever, the whole range
Yes.
of where you're trying to replace fossil fuel in a way with green energy. And the third one is obviously the entire world of services, which is the service economy, which is becoming bigger and bigger, and whether it's IT or whether it's entertainment or whether it's so these are the three big things moving. But what the two wars have actually reflected to the world, one of them obviously the Ukraine-Russian war, and now this what's happening in Iraq, is that the traditional businesses are here to stay. They are not going away in a hurry, because there was a belief maybe 1 year ago, if you had spoken to me also.
Right.
My uncle used to always tell me, he said, don't be so quick in dismissing the past businesses. But one would think that everything is going to change. Ye sab purana hai, ye sab chalega nahi. That I think has got a bit corrected. And today, even though you have fossil fuel, it's still going to be around for a while, for a long time. It doesn't mean that the new economies are not going to come. Of course, they're going to come, but alongside the old. So, I mean, if I just want to tell you which are the exciting new economies, I would have named the first three. But it doesn't mean that the traditional ones are not exciting. Still.
The onus on, you spoke about renewable energy and you spoke about, I know you're a big believer on everything green, but the thing is that the West has polluted for
so many years.
200 plus years.
Yeah.
And we are bearing the brunt of it.
Yeah.
And then today we are talking about issues such as carbon credits and, living up to a particular, having only particular emission permissible in the country and so on and so forth. Do you think it is fair, A, and B, as a young generation that is environmentally conscious, in entrepreneurship, how would they balance going green and at the same point in time meeting costs? Because everything green costs slightly a little more sometimes than everything not so green.
So look, we are investing a lot in the whole energy transition space, whether it's renewable power, whether it's biofuel, sustainable aviation fuel, whether it's green, electric trucks, LNG trucks. So we're doing a lot in this space, whether it's building a hydrogen plant in the UK. Our philosophy is ultimately it still has to make economical sense. You can't go green for the sake of green. You can go green if it makes economical sense. What does that mean? Either if it's more expensive, either the government or somebody has to subsidize it, because the customer is not going to pay more. You can go whichever way you want. Finally, the customer will say, boss, कोई cheaper कोई दे रहा है तो मैं उससे ले लूँगा. वो morality is good,
In the bottom.
but not at the cost of my losing money.
Correct.
Right? So, if it's going to be more expensive, then somebody needs to subsidize it. And where it works the most is where it is green and yet there is no subsidy. And then that's a winner. For example, we are building electric trucks.
Okay.
These are 55-ton, massive trucks.
Okay.
And our whole model, this is done by my brother, Anshuman, and the whole model is that we are making the trucks in Pune. We are operating them in a logistics company, which is mainly a green logistics company, and we've got now close to 1,000 trucks on the road, and there is no subsidy involved. So there is no support from the government. We are not going to the government and saying, aap ye karo, aap wo karo, kuch nahi. No subsidy, and the cost of providing an electric truck service is cheaper, maybe brief, small, but cheaper than using a diesel truck. Now that is a home run, because if you go to a customer and say, for the same price, I'll give you a green option, he will drop everybody and go to you. But the moment you tell him, no, I want 5% more, it ain't happening.
So optimization of resources.
Making sure that you have a idea or what we call economically viable solution. And that economic viability comes from two things. Either you are cost competitive or you have a subsidy being provided for some. We are not very keen on working on subsidy model because it doesn't take much time for the subsidy to suddenly vanish. Once somebody takes a decision कि भाई अभी आगे से नहीं देना है, हो गया. So you are running that risk. It's a huge risk.
What do you make of the Great Nicobar project?
Of the?
The Great Nicobar project, the one that the government is initiated in the Nicobar Islands.
Which is for?
For green, for protecting
All the green.
green.
I mean, see, I think India has done extremely well after the whole environmental act, and with the whole forest movement which India has introduced all across the country. I think India is doing it. I mean, the laws today for forest land are so strict. I mean, we in industry we face it, all the time that trying to even if you have to even take over 1 acre of forest land, which is within a plant area or not. I mean, it's like 99% of the time we'll say छोड़ो यार, इसको छोड़ दो, please find some alternate solution.
But यहाँ तो वो लोग कर रहे हैं. Like they are going to create a commercial and military establishment in a further way in Nicobar. So and there's a lot of hue and cry. The opposition's.
See, we have to. I'm not talking about that particular project.
Got it.
But we have to balance. Everybody. It's not like people don't cut trees. In Europe or in US. You go into those countries. For example, we have a very, very strict coastal rule. City like Mumbai, because we have got the only thing we have got is our coast, right?
Correct.
But we are not allowed to build it. Okay, so now go to Dubai, go to Singapore, right? People are able to build. People are able to, have restaurants, have condominiums, have whatever facilities. They are able to even reclaim land. But they don't. That doesn't mean they're destroying nature.
Right.
They're doing it in a particular way, which still maintains the balance, right? So I think I'm not talking particularly about this project because it's quite sensitive. But I mean, if it is done in a sensible way and if it is done maintaining the balance, then fine.
Okay.
You can't if you want to have development. You cannot say that 100% I'll do everything in a way that that tree also will not get cut.
But I'm glad that you believe in climate change. There's
we believe in climate change a lot.
Of course, and but there's one leader in the United States who doesn't believe in climate change. And unfortunately, when USA sneezes, the world is yet catching a cold. And I wanted to bring.
He's catching a cold for many reasons, not only just climate change.
I want to bring Dr. Drabu in, if
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
You've seen the world in very many a way evolving over a period of time, but in this case, the evolution is not happening, and perhaps it's going in the reverse manner. It's impacting adversely, and in India, we realized it when the LPG crisis hit home. At that juncture, we realized the problem of the Strait of Hormuz. But the rupee, where it is reached eventually today, and the way the economy is in the country, it's only getting further impacted. What is your take on the war, and will it stop, and how should young people view it?
Then toss a coin and see if it stops. But it's not that this is unique to this era. You have these situations right across history. You can't see history evolve in a linear manner where everything is hunky-dory, there's no wars, no conflicts. You obviously will have, because these are serious wars, not political but economic. And they are fighting for control of resources. Right? Today you are in a world that is driven by commodities. India has a commodity economy, hugely deficient in commodities, which is what causes all these problems. So this is a battle for control over resources. It's not going to end in a hurry. And it's not the first time it's happened.
And it won't be the last.
So it will evolve in different ways. Yes, you may have a maverick today in charge and make it a little bigger. But then you have had mavericks earlier also. You are in the 1930s, you had some. In the 40s, you had some. They may change. What makes it a little different this time is the way the world is interlinked. It has never been so interlinked. And the way in which technology can be very disruptive. These are two things that will change the future course of history, because you never had a thing. We first saw the impact of integration of global economy in 2008. When because of one small event, the entire thing just collapsed. You won't see that from more people here. Is there a need for protectionism? Yes, perhaps. Which is why you are seeing all that evolve. There is need. Even Indian states are becoming protectionist. Odisha versus Goa, Goa versus Delhi. You are seeing it at different levels. But to answer your question, as I said, it's not the first, not the last. But and you will have situations emerging. But don't treat it as a Mavericks idea. These are hardcore things that have been planned for decades before getting operationalized. It's not a Trump gone mad kind of a story. That's making very simplistic. There are underlying trends. There are cross-country relationships that determine this. It can get triggered by an event, but it's not caused by an event. It's caused by some serious understanding of resource capture, how one will learn.
But you spoke about 2008, whether it was 2008, whether it was before that 97 and all the way back to 1929 and even before in the 1800s, whenever there has been an economic collapse, so to say, and it's impacted the world adversely, even as recent as COVID, the common man or the normal person, of course, the benefit for us was that Zoom classes happened and life was much easier. But the idea, sir, is what I'm trying to say is that the people who are going to seek jobs, who are in their TY, who finish education this year, for them, then do you think that this will have an adverse impact in the next couple of years, or you think things will remain the way they are because of a highly globalized world?
Well, obviously, I don't think that's going to have an impact on the job markets and stuff. Yes, it may take a little longer, but eventually it finds its own space. It's not going to cut the economy. The economy has to grow because the battle is for the economy. You'll find different ways to get absorbed in different situations. Technology is a big threat for jobs. It is not. You're just changing the quality of work. You're not changing the nature.
So technology is not a threat for jobs up until...
No, it's not. You're getting different jobs are being created. It's not that just because I have something that replaces an existing work of you change the way you are, and probably becomes even more lucrative to do the job because your skill profile is much higher.
Do you think...
I don't see technology as a bait for unemployment.
Do you think that, coming back, do you think technological singularity is ever possible? The fact that technological singularity is ever possible, that where the machine starts thinking for itself and makes emotional decisions as well, that where conscience merges.
Thank God we are not there yet. Emotional, no, I don't think yet, not yet. Look, ultimately there will be barriers which will be set by governments or by countries or by people. It will not, I don't believe they'll allow a situation where machines can take over.
So Will Smith's iRobot is not coming true.
No,
But
I hope not, and I certainly hope not.
My last question, a small rapid fire. What's the first thought that comes to your mind when I say the following? Your father, Shashi Ruia.
Well, for me, the first word is father figure, for sure. The other word which actually comes to my mind with him, for him, actually is Godfather.
When I say SR, what comes to mind?
Entrepreneurial family.
Prime Minister Modi?
I think he's unbelievable, to be honest. His work ethic and what he has done for the country over the last 15 years is just unbelievable. Fantastic. He is a doer. Tremendous. I've had the fortune of spending quite a lot of time with him.
Okay.
And because we were in Gujarat, most of our investments were in Gujarat, and he was the chief minister at that time. So, and the work ethic, his work ethic is, if someone wants to learn, then that's what you should imbibe from him. Because, of course, you won't have much time for friends and you won't have much time for family. But other than that, if you're willing to sacrifice that, then that work ethic is unbelievable. I mean, we've seen him in 25 years. He's never had a holiday. Never had a Sunday off. If you notice, his travel is always Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and he will get back home on Sunday at 5 o'clock. And this is not from today. This is from 2001 that we are seeing him do this. If you notice, next time you think about a Modi ji's program, just check the date on it. If it's in his control, it will be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
So we should call him on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
On that day, you'll get it.
That way.
And if he's giving you a time, most likely it's going to be those 3 days. Because the first 4 days is in the office.
Considering you mentioned Prime Minister Modi and your close association, about his work ethic, any memorable incident that comes to mind?
I mean, so many. So from the time he gets up till, many times he has visited our plant. He has inaugurated our plant. He's inaugurated our steel plant at Hazira. And I mean, from the time he gets there, and he spent a couple of days or one day, the whole day with us. I mean, he's curious. He will, कैसे plant चलता है, आप मेरे को process समझाओ. He will go into the detail, understand every minute detail of it, and right till the end of the day, till dinner, he will not stop. There's no way. And most days, he's actually going to have five such programs in a day. It's never one program for the whole day. So it's a packed schedule.
When I say Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, what comes?
Statesman.
Youth.
Future of India, or future of anywhere, I would say.
India.
India is a huge opportunity.
And when I say I.I.M.U.N. or India's international movement to United Nations, what comes to mind? The size of the hamper?
Ability to make change.
Great. I was just going to say this. I was just going to say the size of the hamper depends on the last answer.
No.
But thank you so much for spending your time and talking and interacting with young people. The future is young, green, and Indian.
Yes.
And as long as we have people like you guiding young people, I think it is definitely pointing in the direction of a Viksit Bharat. I remember this when I was in 2002, when newspapers were compulsory for me to read. Atalji had the campaign of the India Shining campaign.
Yes, I remember.
And then in 2024,
Pramod Mahal was a leader.
You would remember it, and now, but 20 years hence, India wasn't shining as much.
Yeah.
And when the government came up with the campaign of Viksit Bharat, Hardeep Puri ji called me and said, Rishabh, come, you don't come anywhere for government programs, etc., but come for this because we want to talk about this. And I said, they want to build a Viksit Bharat. But I see one of the greatest boons and one of the greatest banes being in the fact that the older generation must take interest in the younger generation. Yeah. And in this case, I only wish that there is more of you that we see, because that is the boon that the next generation needs. Thank you.
All the time, available all the time, Rishabh.
Thank you
Lovely.
very much.
Enjoyed this very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.